Growing up, I was always excited to flip on my TV after a long day of school. It would feel like a true escape from all the homework that I have been assigned that day. One show that I prominently remember watching was Pokemon. Pokemon was one of those shows that you just couldn't stop watching. The world brought something new to your adolescent mind. It was simply something I've never seen before, and I loved it. And as you would assume, a few days after receiving my first DS as a Christmas gift, I dragged my parents to the nearest EB Games to buy my first ever Pokemon game. Now, if you grew up in the 2000s, you know Pokemon was one of the most popular video games to ever hit store shelves. Millions of people have gotten their hands on a Pokemon game. But with the game exploding with popularity came an evil. An evil that supposedly left many families heartbroken and left with grief. See, this tale that I'm about to tell you is nothing less than disturbing. This tale is known as Lavender Town Syndrome. Lavender Town was a fictional town within the game's Pokemon Red and Green. It was originally thought to be haunted, and also a home to a large Pokemon gravesite, which for one is extremely unnerving considering you wouldn't expect a mass gravesite of cute little animals in a children's video game. A popular theory around Lavender Town is that it's supposedly haunted, which could explain the many individuals that you meet in the game who appear to be floating and gliding around, opposed to the typical walking animation that you and the other AI are given. Now you might be wondering, what is this big conspiracy behind Lavender Town? It surely isn't because of the gravesite, right? Well, no. Lavender Town's main conspiracy was focused towards the behavior of the children that ended up playing the main copy of the game. As the story goes into depth, it explains that the developers of the game let the frequencies play really high in the original copies. So high that the children would start to behave differently, many of them going crazy and some even harming themselves. The frequencies themselves were played along with Lavender Town's creepy background music, which triggers instantly after you enter the haunted city. Which is also when Lavender Town Syndrome strikes. The song plays in such high frequencies that only children and younger teens would be able to hear it. The children that did suffer from this tragic fate would end their lives by either hanging or jumping off someplace high. Those that were lucky enough to fend off the frequencies from altering their thoughts would complain of severe headaches and hallucinations after simply hearing the town's theme. The records state that approximately 200 children had died from Lavender Town Syndrome, and many other developed illnesses. The main age group affected was from ages 7 to 12, and it started shortly after the release of Pokemon Red and Green. Here's how the song goes. Although Lavender Town sounds different nowadays, depending on the game that you're playing, the developers have fixed the high frequency issue after the first incident. Children can no longer hear the frequencies since they've been removed from the game, but I still remember the first time I heard the song after hearing all the stories about Lavender Town. Considering that I was a small child, it didn't really take much to freak you out. I remember having the song stuck in my head all day with its eerie but catchy tune. As I've gotten older, I completely forgot about Lavender Town's story and its menacing yet catchy tune. But just recently, I stumbled upon the story and thought it would be great to share with you guys. Some of you might have already heard the stories, and some of you might have just heard about Lavender Town for the first time. And for those who've just found out, consider yourself lucky. Now, one little thing that I've left to note about Pokemon is that they are not new to controversy, as Pokemon has had its fair share of mishaps, for example, the infamous Pokemon shock phenomenon, which was an episode of Pokemon aired where the producers left a lot of flashing lights, which were taken out of the Western release of the show, but supposedly kept in the original broadcasts. The issues with the flashing lights were that they caused seizures to many children who have watched it. The rapid flashing of red and blue can be a bit disorienting, and I can see how this has caused a lot of controversy on Pokemon's part. Which makes me wonder, does Pokemon specifically create these issues for more controversy and to build more sales? Or do you think it was an honest mistake and something that was genuinely a coincidence? Let me know what you think, and leave a comment about your thoughts in this disturbing tale. This is Nightfuel, and I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I wish you all a wonderful evening, and good night.